AI minds, quantum leaps. Cut the noise, dive deep. Truth unlocked, Dr. Mike on the mic. Tech Unfiltered is on the clock. Now it's time for the show.
A normal school team photo can now become the raw material for a very different kind of abuse. Someone can take an ordinary picture from a school website, run it through an artificial intelligence tool, and create an explicit fake. The child never posed for it, never sent it, and did nothing wrong. Yet the fear, shame, bullying, and coercion that follow can be completely real. This week, The Guardian reported a sharp rise in children in the United Kingdom seeking help with explicit images they believed had been faked or manipulated to look like them. A service called Report Remove received 420 reports in the first 6 months of 2026. That already exceeds the service's total of 397 for all of 2025. Those numbers describe reports from children, not a count of every fake online, and not necessarily a count of unique offenders or tools. But the trend is clear enough to demand attention. This is a present-day safety problem for families and schools, not a prediction about a model that might arrive years from now. Report Remove is an anonymous service operated by the Internet Watch Foundation together with a children's charity through Childline. It helps people under 18 in the United Kingdom who are worried that a nude or sexual image or video of them has been shared or may be shared. The service can create a digital fingerprint of the file, commonly called a hash. Participating platforms can use that fingerprint to find matching copies, remove them, or block them from being uploaded. That means a young person doesn't have to circulate the material repeatedly just to ask different companies for help. Hash matching is important, but it isn't a universal delete button. Cropping, editing, or generating a new variant can create a different fingerprint. Not every platform participates, and removal from one service doesn't erase every copy. It is best understood as a containment tool, not a guarantee. The reporting includes another revealing detail. Report Remove added a way for young people to identify material as deepfaked because manipulated image reports had become common enough to need their own category. The Internet Watch Foundation said most of the manipulated images reported in 2025 and 2026 were severe enough to meet the United Kingdom's legal threshold for child sexual abuse material. Some victims were also targeted for sextortion. That is when someone threatens to distribute intimate material, whether real or fabricated, unless the victim pays money, sends more images, or meets another demand. A fabricated image can become a lever for real coercion, even when no original intimate image ever existed. It doesn't have to fool a forensic expert. It only has to look plausible enough to frighten a child. Primary source data from the Internet Watch Foundation gives the broader context. The organization said it identified 8,029 artificial intelligence generated images and videos of realistic child sexual abuse in 2025. That was a 14% increase in criminal artificial intelligence content from the year before. The increase in video was especially large. The foundation identified 3,443 artificial intelligence generated videos in 2025 compared with 13 in 2024. That is more than a 260-fold increase. It classified 65% of those generated videos in category A, the most severe legal category in the United Kingdom. For comparison, 43% of the non-artificial intelligence criminal videos it reviewed were in that category. These figures must stay separate. The foundation's content totals count material it identified. They are not counts of unique victims, offenders, tools, or everything online. The 420 Report Remove cases are reports from children in the first half of 2026. Combining the two data sets would produce a misleading statistic. The report count also isn't the same as the true incidence of abuse. Some children may never report what happened, while one report may involve more than one file or platform. That means the count is best used to show demand for help and the direction of change. It cannot tell us precisely how many children were targeted across the country or how much material was created. So what has changed? Manipulated images existed before modern generative tools, but producing a convincing fake once required access to a real intimate image, substantial editing skill, or direct access to the victim. Widely available image generation tools reduce some of that friction. A benign portrait can be altered quickly by someone with limited technical skill, and improving realism can make the result harder for peers, parents, teachers, and platforms to recognize immediately. Not every image generator permits this abuse, and the public reporting doesn't identify which model produced each item. The careful claim is that artificial intelligence is making some forms of image abuse easier to produce and scale. It would be inaccurate to attribute every reported image to one model or company. The harm also doesn't depend on perfect realism. A plausible fake seen by classmates can cause humiliation, bullying, withdrawal, or school avoidance. When an offender adds a threat, a child may feel responsible for stopping the spread. Adults need to reverse that message immediately. The child is not to blame. There are practical steps families can take. The Internet Watch Foundation and the United Kingdom's National Crime Agency recommend reviewing who can access children's photographs. Families can make accounts private, use limited sharing groups, and ask children before posting their pictures. Image consent should be a continuing conversation, not a one-time rule. Schools and clubs should review public pages that connect identifiable faces with names, uniforms, schedules, or locations. They can limit unnecessary public galleries, reconsider how long images remain online, and create an incident response plan before a child is targeted. This doesn't mean removing children from community life or eliminating team photos. It means treating public images as data that can be copied and repurposed. If a child is targeted, adults should stay calm, believe them, and say clearly that they did nothing wrong. Don't pay or comply with the offender. Preserve the evidence needed for a report without forwarding the material unnecessarily. Report urgent threats to police and use child safety services. In the United Kingdom, families can use Report Remove and the country's Child Exploitation Reporting Service. Elsewhere, local laws and procedures differ, so use the appropriate child protection and law enforcement channels. Privacy settings reduce risk, but they don't transfer responsibility to parents or children. Images can come from institutional websites, group pages, or leaks. The responsibility begins with the person creating or distributing the abusive material. Technology companies also have responsibilities. Developers can test whether their models generate sexualized depictions of minors, restrict dangerous features, monitor abuse patterns, and respond quickly when safeguards fail. App stores and payment providers can remove services marketed for non-consensual image manipulation. Platforms can improve detection, reporting, hash matching, and appeals. Schools can treat fabricated intimate images with the same seriousness as real ones without punishing the victim. The larger shift is that a photograph is no longer only a record of a moment. It can also be an input to a system that invents a scene that never happened. That is an implication of the evidence, not a measured forecast, but it changes how families and institutions should think about consent and exposure. A response system that waits for a child to discover a fake is necessary, but it isn't sufficient. Prevention, detection, rapid removal, victim support, and accountability have to work together. The practical takeaway is calm and direct. Limit unnecessary public access, ask before sharing, prepare schools to respond, know where to seek help, and remind every targeted child that the wrongdoing belongs to the offender. Until next time.